And hello there, inhabitants of planet Earth. It is I, your favorite YouTuber, Dr. Frika, aka Daniel Constantine. And today I would like to talk about something exceptionally interesting, something that has eluded the internet ever since 2009, more specifically, the year when Avatar Part 1 was released. It baffles me to a great extent to see how there are so many memes, shorts, and interviews about Avatar, especially since Avatar The Way of Water was released. James Cameron himself stated that he received inspiration from multiple sources: sci-fi novels, namely John Carter and Neuromancer, movies such as Dance with the Wolves, and even anime including Princess Mononoke and Ghost in a Shell, to name a few. However, is that really all there is to the secret behind Avatar's success? Or is there a hidden source that is so obvious that James Cameron didn't want to mention just because the similarities are too mind-blowing? There are so many debates about the source of inspiration, most of them historical and cultural, and yes, while that may be true indeed, there is one major to mention because the similarities are true. Honestly, I've been wanting to make this video all the way back then in 2019, but I thought to myself, no, it's impossible. I'm sure hundreds of people will talk about this, there's absolutely no point. But here we are in 2023, Avatar The Way of Water was released late 2022, even with more striking resemblances to said game, which I will get to shortly, and still nobody is saying anything. In case you didn't notice from the thumbnail, I am of course talking about Abe's Oddworld. Now you might be wondering, Dr. Frika, what in the world is Abe's Oddworld? What are those resemblances you keep talking about? And why do we need a doctor for this? Well, you don't need a doctor per se, but here I am anyways, taking a day off of work and brain and spine surgeries to enlighten you about the great hidden truth. So let's get into the video. Abe's Oddworld is a puzzle platformer that was released in 1997, a game I used to play as a kid, a game too ahead of its time, a brilliant game that never got the attention it deserved and which made a comeback in 2014 after many years of absence, and then again in 2021, but still didn't get its rightful success. As for the similitudes between Abe's Oddworld and Avatar, and even more so the similarities between Abe and Avatar The Way of Water, I decided to classify those into four groups: appearance of life forms in both the game and the movie, second is powers, third behavior, and finally religion. First things off, let's get the blue elephant out of the room: color. Na'vi are a race of sapient extraterrestrial humanoids that live on a moon in Alpha Centauri called Pandora. So far in the movie, we have seen two types of Na'vi: the blue Na'vi, who live in the forest/jungle, and the turquoise Na'vi that are more of an oceanic clan. Now, the Mudokons. Mudokons are also a race of sapient extraterrestrial humanoids that live on planet Oddworld, on the continent Mudos, hence the name Mudokon and Abe's Oddworld. Sorry science fiction fans, there is currently no name for the galaxy of this planet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it probably exists in Alpha Centauri as well, since most aliens in most sci-fi movies seem to reside over there anyways. Nonetheless, these aliens have many shades of greenish, blue, and even purplish, grayish, yellowish, and even reddish colors, but the latter two colors only occur when they get high or when they get mad. Regardless, those are colors which I'm sure we will also see in the next Avatar movies, as James Cameron himself stated that there are other clans on Pandora with obviously different colors and features. It is unclear how many races of Na'vi exist as of now, but I wouldn't be shocked if James Cameron decides to go through all the colors that Mudokons have, and we're going to see grey, red, or purplish shades as well. Anywho, most Mudokons mainly have blue or greenish turquoise color, just like the Na'vi we have seen thus far. Abe is the main character in the game, and while Abe's color changed throughout history with every new release and with the improvement of technology that adds more shading and texturing, for the purpose of this video, I'm only going to talk about the original Abe game, where his color was blue, just like the first Avatar movie, where everybody, including the main character, were blue. Da-ba-dee, da-ba-da. Well, I'm not going to go into the differences, however, such as their sexuality, due to various reasons, such as the technology was bad back then, and it was easier to make Mudokons oviparous rather than create male and female versions, and gender didn't have any relevance to the story whatsoever. While on Avatar, especially on Avatar Part 1, they really milked and made the world talk about the sex scene and the semi-nudity of the Na'vi females, and with time, mankind discovered that it is sell well in movies, but I guess they didn't know this about games back then. So yeah, oviparous it is. But as I said, we are not going to get into this. This is a story for another time. Now, second aspect in appearance is their hair. I'm not only talking about the lack of facial hair, I'm mainly talking about the ponytail, or however you want to call it. While Mudokons have it a lot smaller than the Na'vi, pun intended here, and I know they don't use their hair to spiritually connect to other aliens like the Na'vi do, they do have a similar power that I will get to shortly. But for now, I just wanted to focus on appearance, not function, and how those two alien species also possess similar hair. Third aspect I would like to state is the shape of their eyes. Both Na'vi and Mudokons have large round eyes. Exhibit number 4 is their, well, 4 fingers. Both species have 4 fingers on each hand, but the similarities when it comes to fingers don't end here. There's a twist. In the Japanese version of the game, while the storyline remained unaltered, the design of the characters suffered a small change. Removal of a finger from 4 to 3 fingers due to cultural differences in Japan involving the Barakumi. Certain Japanese Persian groups were offended by the Mudokons having 4 fingers due to a historic Japanese subclass of meatpackers who were looked down upon in society. 4 fingers, or showing 4 fingers to another person, came to insinuate that the other was a member of a subclass, because it had become symbolic of the meatpackers who frequently had work-related accidents. Therefore, since Japanese find 4-fingered characters highly offensive, Mudokons were depicted with 3 fingers. But that's just in Japan. We can safely bask in the dashingness of the 4 fingers design, don't worry about that. Similarly, the hybrid Na'vi, also known as avatars, which are basically a genetically re-engineered human/Na'vi, or a genetically re-engineered Na'vi/human, if you may, designed to serve as a remote control vessel for a human mind, seem to have 5 fingers. If an avatar breeds with a Na'vi, there is a chance that their offspring will also inherit 5 fingers, and this seems to be a dominant gene, while having 4 fingers appears to be a recessive gene. However, this characteristic doesn't seem to have any solid impact on the story, similarly to how the removal of the 4th finger didn't really have any major impact on the story in Abe. The reason why the movie director decided to add a 5th finger to the avatars is unknown, because, as stated above, it serves no purpose. It could be something random, it may be aesthetics, it may be due to the fact that it's easier to animate the movie with all 5 fingers, or it is very possible that James Cameron is also aware of this redesign feature in Japan in Abe's Oddworld. That, or the people in Japan get offended by the 4-finger Na'vi again. Now, let's get into our 5th clue here. Tattoos. Everybody likes a good looking tattoo, right? Most humans seem to like it, Na'vi seem to like tattoos, and guess what? Mudokons also are very fond of tattoos. In the Na'vi culture, the tattoos are considered a gift from Ewa, aka All Mother, aka the all-powerful world-creating deity of Pandora. Similarly, And trust me, I hate how many times I use the word similarly, resemblance, similitude, and all of those synonyms throughout this video so far, and I loathe the fact that I'm going to use them a dozen more times throughout this video. But, similarly, the tattoos in Ape give the Mudokon that has them the power to transform into an avatar. Keyword here, avatar of Shriko, the Mudokon deity. And you can see on the video right now a Wikipedia page that uses the same word, avatar, for the transformation. Coincidence? Personally, I never believe in coincidences. Nevertheless, while Navi cannot transform, at least in the first two movies, it is still uncertain whether or not they will have a similar ability in the future movies. But judging of how their anatomy seems to be able to quickly shift, change, or evolve depending on slowly the clan or the place they live, and considering how much James Cameron gets inspired off of this game, I wouldn't be surprised if we can see a Navi transform into something else in the future movies. Be that as it may, these tattoos can be granted to Mudokons by Mudokon shamans, which are some sort of a clan in Oddworld, similarly to the tribe that grant tattoos in Avatar, and are only granted after the Mudokon has passed a number of mental and physical trials and established some sort of bonds with the Paramites and Scrabs, which are some sort of life forms, wild life forms in Oddworld, and can be triggered in special occasions after saving a set number of Mudokons from death and enslavery. Similarly, Navi members receive their first tattoo after they complete all of their rites of passage into adulthood. Some of those rites include, but are not limited to, bonding with a Tsurak, similarly again to how Mudokons have to pass their rites and bond with the wildlife. Others are various tests with their Tolkun spirit brother or sister. Once a Metkaina, aka the Turquoise Navi, has completed all of these rites, they are bestowed with the special garments, their first tattoo. Last thing I would like to touch upon consisting the appearance are the clothes. I'm not even gonna utter 1,000 words on this topic. A picture is worth 1,000 words already. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. Just look at what the Navi wear and what the Mudokons wear. It's basically the same. Behavior. Spirituality first. Navi live in perfect harmony with nature and are very spiritual creatures. They kinda resemble the Native Americans of once upon a time. Just like the Navi, Mudokons are also very spiritually active creatures in contact with their ancestors and nature, although it is unknown whether this is part of their biology or whether it was developed throughout their religion. They are fundamentally some sort of Navi. Or should I say, the Navi are some sort of Mudokons, as Mudokons were here first. Phonology up next. Both Mudokons and Navi are capable of complex speech like humans do. However, you can hear throughout the movie many instances where the Navi make clicking sounds with their tongues or use some sort of tribal / roar / primitive scream to express their emotions. Mudokons also use something similar. They use whistles to get around sometimes or speak to each other and even have work whistle structures.
Okay, you can go. Hey, Joe.
Similarly, singing is important in both cultures, the only difference being that the Navi singing sounds like this, and Mudokon singing sounds, well, a lot more plain, like this. It's more like a chanting, really, which is also a part of their possession powers, which is up next. Powers, spirit control. In Avatar, we see the Navi being able to connect directly to the nervous system and soul of other sapient or non-sapient life forms on Pandora, including fauna. Likewise, Abe has a very similar power. He can possess other beings and take full control of their bodies, whether natural or industrial, with the only difference being that he can do this remotely from a safe distance. It is still ambiguous whether or not Navi can take control of any machinery, android, or any kind of AI, but in my estimation, it is not unlikely. Both machines and Navi work throughout electric impulses, so even though they might not be able to take control over any typical robots or sorts, I believe that there is a way for humans to build some sort of gadget that Navi can connect to, if they want to, of course. If not, it just has the superior power is all. Up next, Amplified Mobility Platform versus PANS. And I know the title for this one sounds stupid, and I know it might be a little far-fetched, but just hear me out. In Avatar, the Navi's main predators are now humans, or the Sky People, as they call them, as they call us. In any way, the Sky People's main weapons in the movie are firearms, the helicopters, also known as Aerospatiale SA-2 Samson, and Amplified Mobility Platforms, aka Mitsubishi MK6 Amplified Mobility Platform, or AMP suit for short, which are some sort of that thing Green Lantern uses to beat up his opponents, called mechanized suits or mechanized assault, whatever. Or more simply put, if you're not a DAC or Marvel fan, it's some sort of exoskeleton suit. Similarly, again with this word, similarly, the main predators of Mudokons are called Sleek and are a more advanced slash industrialized sapient life form that seek destruction. They are in an essence the soldiers of another alien species called Glucons, which enslaved the Sleeks. But don't worry, they totally enjoy what they do, trust me. They don't consider themselves slaves because they have so much fun beating up and torturing Mudokons that they would do it for free, really. I guess you can kinda say that the Glucons play the role of HQ if we were to transpose the Oddworld into the Avatar world. See what I did there? Oddworld? Huh? Anyways, Glucons also used to be somewhat spiritually oriented species like the Mudokons or the humans are. But I guess industriality just ruined everything for either of them. So Glucons are the HQ and Sleeks are the soldiers on Pandora which enjoy shooting and killing stuff. And just like in Avatar, these soldiers are way smaller than Mudokons are. That's why they need firearms to prove their superiority to Mudokons and mechanical pants to be as tall as them or as strong as them. Let's not forget about the armored puppet here. Similarly to how humans use the AMP suit to be as tall as Navi and to have an advantage in the hand-to-hand combat. And they get those pants from the Getcha Pan station, not making this up. They can also fly around like the helicopters in Avatar, if instead they choose to go to the Getcha Wing station. I mean, the design of the helicopter is somewhat similar as well. Also, let's not forget about the Big Bros League and the armored Big Bros League, which have 4 mechanical legs and kinda reminds me of the crab mech suit in Avatar: The Way of Water.
Also, another similarity between Sleeks and humans on Pandora is that humans cannot breathe the air on Pandora. Therefore, they need special oxygen masks to do so. Just like Sleeks, we don't know precisely if they can breathe on their own planet or not, but what is weird is that they need a breathing apparatus on their masks to breathe. So maybe they just cannot breathe too well, but nonetheless, another similarity. Humans need oxygen masks on Pandora, Sleeks need breathing apparatus on their masks.
And they also both have some kick-ass sunglasses.
There are a lot more to be said here, like the Necrom excavator in Oddworld and the bucket wheel excavator in Avatar. They look basically the same. Like, there are many similarities, but let's just skip to the next chapter.
Religion. Boy, oh boy, there is a lot to talk about here, but the video is already long enough as it is, so I will try to keep things as short as possible. Essentially, when a Na'vi dies, they must hold a burial ritual to ensure the spirit is uploaded, if you may, to Ewa, their goddess. They can connect to the spirits of the dead through the Tree of Souls, or the Spirit Tree, which is the marine equivalent of the Tree of Souls. And you can connect to your dead from there. There's a lot more to be said here, but it's in the movie, okay? Let's talk about Murokon's religion, because if you are taking this video, you probably already watched at least one of the two Avatar movies. Murokon religion revolves around nature and the spirits of all around them, similarly to, you guessed it, Na'vi. The native landscape is very sacred to the Murokons, and some will put down their lives for it, just like the Na'vi did in Avatar Part 1, and would do in any other future movie really. Along with nature worship, some tribes are known to worship certain wildlife. For example, the Mudoma worship the Paramites, and the Mudanshi worship Scramps. I don't think Na'vi really worship wildlife, but they do have some super strong spiritual bonds with some of the wildlife. One of the most notable being their relationship with the Tulkun. Even after all those similarities and coincidences are summed up, Avatar still remains a different movie from Oddworld. Avatar has a very chilling and spiritual vibe to it, more fantasy based, while Oddworld is more of a post-apocalyptic scenario in a dimension where the Na'vi lost the war with the humans. This is mainly because people want to see happy endings in movies, but need deaths and dramas in this kind of games. If you ever played Ape, imagine an Ape game where everything is peaceful and there's a human or a sneak invasion just once in a while. Or imagine a post-apocalyptic Avatar where everything is industrialized and you never have the chance to see how Na'vi live with the nature and not ever get embedded into their culture dramas. None of them wouldn't be as fun and close to perfect as they currently are, correct? Oddworld is basically a reverse Avatar with a sadder story in a scenario where the Sky People actually won the war and enslaved the natives. It's not impossible to assume that if the humans won the war, they would seal the lips of the Na'vi to prevent communication, just like in Ape. The possibilities are endless, and if we ever see an Avatar movie where the Sky People do indeed win temporarily, we might witness even more similarities between those two franchises. In closing, even if it got inspired from Ape, Avatar remains a stunning piece of cinema with out-of-this-world graphics and special effects that really make you reconsider what it means to be human. And in case you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing over here? Go watch it! Also, try out Ape while you're at it. That concludes my video. I really hope this video shed some light for you, and if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like to my video. It goes a long way. Consider subscribing and write down a comment to tell me, I don't know, your thoughts, or let me know what other similarities I might have missed, because there might be some that I missed. Thank you and have a wonderful week, everybody. Peace.